Well,
for
near-term
Bitcoin.
price prediction, so is it 2023? I think by the end of 2024, we'll definitely be at 100,000. I'll write that in stone. Probably higher.
Will Bitcoin hit $100,000 in 2024? There are a lot of people calling for a six-figure Bitcoin next year. And it's made major price moves like that in the past. But let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Crypto family, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, consider subscribing. We have new crypto videos coming out every single day. And in today's clip, we'll be checking out Larry Lepard. He's talking about Bitcoin in today's clip. We played a clip from Larry a couple of days ago on our channel. He was talking about CBDCs, what the Federal Reserve was doing with interest rates, but now he's talking about Bitcoin. As you guys just saw, he gave a Bitcoin price prediction of $100,000 in 2024. He says you can put that in stone. He also gives some long-term price predictions and some even shorter-term price predictions in this clip, along with some other things like the security advantages of Bitcoin, Bitcoin adoption. He touches on a lot of key points, so I wanted to share this with you guys in today's video. Let's go ahead and check it out here and leave your thoughts in the comment section below.
I believe they may take a lot of bad actions. And I think, we talked offline about this. I mean, it's possible they're going to tax Bitcoin heavily. It's possible they could outlaw. It's possible they say you're going to deal with Bitcoin, you're going to go to jail for 10 years. I mean, I think at some point as the currency starts to collapse, I could very easily see, and I saw a little bit of it the last time around, I could very easily see people in positions of power saying, these gold and Bitcoin people, they're really kind of ruining our monetary system. And that what they're doing is un-American. I mean, and just as they told us we had to buy, government bonds to support World War II, they're going to say these, gold and Bitcoin people are bad people, and we need to tax that shit like 90%. I mean, that's entirely possible. I don't, write that off. The thing though, that here's where I think we ultimately win. America's not the only country in the world. There are, 300 million of us or something. There are billions of people in the world. Okay. And Bitcoin's not really seizable. If you've got it on cold storage, you've got your 12 seed words, they can't take it away from you. They might know you have it because they can follow it. Unless you've cleaned your coins, they can follow where you got it from. They can't really take it away from you. I mean, you're as strong as an army in terms of defending your wealth. I mean, every other time in history up until this point in time, if you had money and you didn't have the guns in the army to defend your money, they could take it from you. It was either in a bank, in which case they could see the records of the bank and take it, or it was gold, or it was something that you would store. And guess what? If enough people show up with guns, they can threaten to take your gold. Well, if you could have $1 billion worth of Bitcoin and 12 words would secure it, now they could threaten to kill you and say, if you don't give us the 12 words, we're going to kill you.
There is that.
Yeah, and they might. But if you had the 12 words, and you'd given them to other relatives and they didn't know who, I mean, the point is they can't get the wealth. They just can't, short of killing you. And even if they kill you, they're not necessarily able to get the wealth. That equation is a very important equation. This guy on Twitter named Jason Lowery, who talks about this a lot, he does a great job of it. And so it's going to change. It literally changes the balance of power between individuals and governments. And I think we're going to a much more decentralized world in the future. And I think big governments peaked in World War II. They managed to figure out how to slaughter 50 million people. And ever since then, we've been going towards a decentralized world. And the microchip started it, the internet spread it, and Bitcoin is going to help to perfect it. Yeah, sure. So Malcolm Gladwell had a theory that said that, and he looked at a lot of developments, historical developments of technologies, autos, washing machines, cell phones, computers. And what it says is the amount of time it takes from 0% penetration to 10% penetration of the population, the number of years that takes, then in turn, the next set of that number of years gets you from 10% to 90%. So, in this case, in the Bitcoin case, it was, 14 years old. And I think we estimate that about 10% of the world, or 10% of the first world owns Bitcoin or is involved in Bitcoin in some form. And so and certainly more than that are aware of it, but I'm talking about people who've actually bought some. And so if it took 14 years to get to 10%, the theory is it would take another 14 years and 90% of the world would own some Bitcoin. If it really is the technological innovation that I believe it is. And so, that would imply that we're going to go through a very big growth curve here. And, you've got this is, as a commodity, Bitcoin is, there's a fixed supply. There are only 21 million of them. It's the only, this is very interesting. It's the only commodity in the world where supply does not go up as a result of higher prices. Think about it. If gold goes to $10,000 tomorrow, we're going to mine more gold. There's just no doubt, right? Because we know where it is. It's just not economic to get it out of the ground. Whereas if Bitcoin goes to $100,000, tomorrow, there's not going to be any more Bitcoin created. So that's a very powerful thing. And so, there's 7+ billion people on the planet. There are 21 million of these coins. It's a very sound form of money. As more and more people come to see, I should save in this money, the price is going to go, in my opinion, much higher. I mean, I think we'll hit 100,000, then I think we'll hit 1 million, then I think we'll ultimately hit $10 million a coin. I mean, I'm sure my grandkids will be shocked at people who own one whole coin. I mean, being a whole coiner will be a big deal. It's impossible to know exactly where it's going to go. I mean, we hit 67 in the last peak, 67, 68. So we didn't make it to 100. And we hit 16 on this bottom. But if you kind of look at the pattern, you look at how far it tends to go off the bottom of the pattern, it would strike me that the next run ought to take us to about 100. And that would probably be sometime within the next 2 years. And then that 100 would probably correct down to 40, we're higher than it is today. And then the 40, wave up from there might take us to, I don't know, 200, 250, something like that. I mean, it's, it tends to go in waves. I mean, we've seen these cycles since it was formed. I mean, these were at much smaller degrees, but I mean, it went to 1,000, then it went back down to 200 or 300. I mean, I bought it at 17,000 in Thanksgiving of 2017 and went down to 10, then it went down to 3,500, and I bought more, but so it's quite volatile, as we've seen, but that you've got two things going on here that support it. One, you've got an adoption curve. I mean, I was involved in investing in the internet. Reminds me a lot of the internet. More and more people are becoming aware of it. More and more people are using it. The second thing you've got going on is you've got this underlying thing that's driving gold as well, which is the monetary debasement. So you've kind of got two trends that push it. One, just more and more people use it. And you really need to read a little bit about that. I highly recommend a book by Alex Gladstein called Check Your Financial Privilege, which tells you the story of how people are using it around the world, how the unbanked are using it. All you need is a smartphone, and you can make lightning transactions. And there are poor women in Afghanistan doing technology work that couldn't figure out how to get paid. They're getting paid Bitcoin on their smartphone through the Lightning Network. And there are thousands of stories like that. Domestics working overseas, sending their money back in the form of Bitcoin so they don't have to pay the usurious fees to Western Union. So, these kinds of applications, or we call them use cases, are going to spread the development of this thing as time goes by. And, the fixed supply and the fact that, savings in this asset have tended to grow over time. If you take a 5-year perspective, there's never been a 5-year period where even if you bought at the peak, you weren't ahead. In fact, something on the web recently I saw that was very interesting. If you started buying Bitcoin at the peak at $68,000 a year and change ago, and you bought an equal amount between then and today, okay, every week, you just turned positive on your investments because it was 68, it went down to 16. Okay. And it's called dollar cost averaging.
Dollar cost averaging, yeah.
Right. And now it's at 30 and you're positive. You're net ahead, even though you started buying at 68. So, and that's how I recommend people to do it actually, is to dollar cost average into it, because it is volatile. There's no doubt. Well, near-term price prediction, I think within, so is it 2023? I think by the end of 2024, we'll definitely be at 100,000. I'll write that in stone, probably higher. I think by the way, at the end of 2024, I think gold will be well over 3,000, maybe 3,500 or higher.
And do you have an end of 2023 Bitcoin price
end of 2023
prediction?
for Bitcoin? What's it, 30 now? I guess at the end of the year, we'd be bumping up against the old high. We'd be kind of right at it, 67-ish, 68, something like that.
But you're not putting that in stone for me. You're putting 2024, 100,000 in stone?
Yeah, 2024, 100,000. I'll put that in stone. I think there's a high probability we're at 60 by the end of the year in Bitcoin. We're at 30 now. That's not that far out there. And I think there's a high probability we're at 3,000 in gold by the end of the year. And the reason I say this is I see the cracks in the financial system. I mean, I think if anything, both of those projections are probably too low. I mean, in other words, it's probably going to be higher than that. But I don't want to say a higher number and then I come up a little short and you say, oh, you missed it.